Hello and welcome.
Hi.
How are you? This is the Business Spotlight series. I'm Sean Schoenmakers, the owner of Action Coach Dallas, where we are helping business owners build and grow their businesses to ultimately improve their lives. And so today we have Katie Day with Meritage. And so she's the owner of Meritage, and also she's going to tell us about what they do and some of the details of how their journey and all the goods, ups, downs, all the things that have gotten them to where they are today. And so we're excited to have you on. Katie, how are you doing?
I'm well. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll be talking a bit about Katie's journey and some of the different details about the business. And if this is your first time, anyone watching, if this is your first time on the channel, make sure you like and subscribe and do all those things so that you can get the notifications when we upload more of these interesting and valuable interviews like we have with Katie today. And so without further ado, Katie, welcome, as I said. And can you please give us an introduction to your company and tell us the problems that you solve?
Sure. My name is Katie Day, and I started the company called Meritage Events, and we just go by Meritage now, 20 years ago, or it'll be 20 years in November.
Hi.
And it's myself and my business partner in Austin, and her name is Tacey Infante. And we're a women-owned business, and we're high touch, white glove service for the corporate planning, incentives, hospitality, sports hospitality, hotel sourcing. So that's the big categories of what we do, but we're preferred in most um, like Ritz-Carlton and Four Seasons properties. And yeah, we provide corporate hospitality.
Right.
Yeah,
I like it. Sounds lovely.
it is.
So
It is.
yeah. So when you say you do the hospitality things or you help with events, like
Yeah.
so that is this so people are saying, hey, I want to do events, but I don't know how to do them, or we have 20 events and I just don't want to run them. Like what is it? How are you guys
It
helping with
really
it?
is kind of a mixture of what you've said there, but also a couple other things. So the different types of scenarios is we would be considered a third party planner. So companies, most corporations have an in-house planner. So somebody that they have on payroll that plans events, but they have hundreds of events throughout the year and they don't have enough resources, time, availability to execute or plan or staff, those type of things. And so
Mhm.
they would hire a company like ours to come in, and it can be multifaceted. Sometimes it's like they just need somebody to come up with the strategy for what they're going to do for the year. And then sometimes they need somebody to execute it, or build out just an idea for a specific, maybe it's their large um, sales meeting or their executive retreat. And so they're looking for somebody that has the time, availability, the resources that can do that and help facilitate their in-house team. Then there's the other side of it where there's companies that don't have anybody on their team, and maybe it's the admin or the executive assistant or something along those lines that has been tasked with that skill to get that done. But again, that's not in their skill set. That's not what they have time for, a multitude of reasons. And so then they would use us as a resource to be able to execute that. And then there's just the individual small businesses that sometimes need that service. Hotels is where we come in a lot with partnerships. We do both the sourcing side. So a company that would want to have a meeting, and they're planning 2 or 3 years out, and they're looking for properties for all their different meetings that are going to be taking place over the next few years. They would use us as a source to go find the types of properties that would be a good fit for them. And so that's how we would work with hotels. But then on the other side of it, hotels have customers that are coming to them on a regular basis, that are looking for, I don't know, something along the lines of I need decor, I need my meeting plan, I need AV.
Yeah.
Well, and the hotel is meant to just really be the box that you go and have your event or meeting to take place at. And
Yeah.
so they reach out to us, and that's how a lot of our customers have become our long-term customers. Is they met us at one of their properties and they liked us and they enjoyed our services, and then we've just continued that relationship with them.
Nice. Yeah, it
Yeah.
sounds like a lot. Sounds like a lot of the reasons we hired a wedding planner, although
Yes, yeah. But I would
our
not touch wedding planning with like
yeah,
you
yeah, and
can
that's
invade
not the
you can
it's not
invade
the same. Yeah,
it's
not
not
even close to the same. You guys, your events are yeah, different, of
yeah.
course,
Well,
and
there's a
you.
mission attached with dollars with weddings, and I'm or social, and I'm like, I don't want crying. I don't want crying.
Yeah, yeah,
Tell me your budget,
crying.
I'll do it. Yeah.
Hopefully, good crying, no bad crying.
Yes,
So,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. We had our wedding in Lake Tahoe, which was not near Dallas, and so when we needed all those, we don't know who's in the area, we don't know what the facilities are like, all
Yeah.
those details you're talking about. You guys help with on the hospitality slash business side was the same reasons for like, look, we need help, right? So, and obviously that was a one-time thing, but you're talking about, hey, we do this with events. You can have 100 events. We'll help with all. So
Yeah.
that's super useful, I'm sure, for a
Yeah.
lot of companies. So how and why did you start this business?
Um,
20
okay.
years ago, just found
Well,
yourself
okay.
bored?
Before that, like I was in college and didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew I always liked hosting things, having gatherings. I can think back to high school and college. I always enjoyed parties. But I didn't know that was a profession. And so I took my first job in PR and absolutely hated it and was like, there's got to be something better out here. And I had seen that there was a job opening at D Magazine in Dallas. And it was to help with like sales support slash meetings and events or something for their advertisers. And that sounded exciting to me. So I took it, and that's how I met my business partner. She was there as well. And so she and I worked on all the different advertiser events, and they were all small, but it taught me the skill set of like, oh, there's this whole hospitality industry that does a very particular type of events that I enjoy. I enjoy working with corporate. I learned that immediately. I enjoyed seeing the end result of working on something and seeing how it made people happy at the
Mhm.
end. Um, I like being in the like behind the scenes, and so that allows you to be still involved and see how it turns out without necessarily having to be like the front and focus. Um, I don't know. I think it's also just part of my heart. Like I enjoy helping others, and you can help others with this. Like you help people figure out like what is it you're trying to achieve with your event. It could be like I'm trying to reach my goal financially with my company. I'm trying to celebrate my employees. And those are all fun ways to like help somebody figure out how to get the best result. Um, so that's really how it started. It was like I got this internship or job at D Magazine, and it turned into doing that and realizing I really like doing this, and I want to turn it into something bigger and better. And I knew in college I wanted to be an entrepreneur and I wanted my own business. And so I left that job and went and did some corporate stuff and learned how the corporate side of it truly worked. But I was there just truly for the purpose of learning. And once I figured out what I was doing, I was like, I'm out of here. I'm doing my own thing. So I started it, and then my business partner came in about a year later, and she and I have been doing it ever since.
All right. And
Yeah.
20 years later, haven't looked back. So,
No, and I couldn't imagine having to go to an office like 9 to 5, sitting and working for somebody else. I think that would be, it might, I don't know, it'd be painful. It'd be painful.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hence why you're a business owner. Yeah. So,
Yep. Yeah.
and so you mentioned this a little bit already, but if I'm in the audience, how do I know if I'm a good fit for your service, or who do you primarily serve? You mentioned hospitality, but
Yeah.
who's a good fit?
Um, it really can be anybody. It can be a small company that is just looking for some additional support in respects of like they know that they want to have um, a good customer return, and maybe like they have a good sales team, but they haven't figured out how do we how do we celebrate our team so that they reach their sales goals? How do we incentivize them? And so it could be as little as like come in and give us an idea of how we can create an incentive trip for them that will incentivize our team and celebrate our team. And so sometimes it can be just us coming in to consult. And so it can be any size company, but sometimes it's just realizing your limitations as a company of you can't do it all. And there are experts out there that can help me get to where I want to be as a company in order like to reach my sales numbers or to um, plan the ultimate customer event, uh, and just reaching out to us. I mean, I think really honestly, I can't think of a industry or a type of company that we couldn't step in and help facilitate an aspect of um, their what their goals are. As if it's an activation, which an activation is just like all the things you see like at a festival or a trade show, that
Yep.
would be considered an activation. So sometimes it's helping them create a vision of what does our trade show look like, or what could this festival look like, or um, something along those lines. Uh, or it could be as like, we have this huge trip coming up and
Yep.
I don't know what we're doing and I need help planning the destination and getting our travel taken care of and coming up with the fun activities and all the fun little touches that celebrate our employees. So I don't know that there's necessarily a category that it wouldn't be a good fit. I think everybody you see, um, hospitality is just a good general word, but you see the types of services that we provide in pretty much any corporate America because it's either in a meeting that you're having or you're having it with a customer celebration, a sales meeting. I mean, really, it's anything that's marketing related.
Mhm.
That is what hospitality is you're just figuring out a different way to use marketing to serve a different purpose.
Cool. What about, like an example? What's one event you've done over the last 12 months or something?
Hmm.
Or
Oh, we just had one last week. It was in Anguilla, a little island in the Caribbean. And it
oh, that
was
sounds
an incentive
normal.
trip. Yeah, it was a nice property. It was the Four Seasons there. It was an incentive trip, and it was for about 50 of their sales team, and their guests got to come, and it was fun. They got to be there for Wednesday to the following Tuesday, so in a week. And they got to do activities every night, have dine arounds, which is just they get to go to different restaurants. And they had activities planned in the evenings and different fun dinners. So that was our most recent one, which just happened last week. And
Cool.
I always love the incentive trips because it allows you to travel, but it's also just it's fun to see people celebrated.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
And so you were there at the location.
I didn't get to go.
Okay.
I was in town, but
Okay.
the team, yeah, I have a team, and
Gotcha. Okay.
yeah, our
Did
lead, team lead went and took that
Well, I
one.
didn't know if you like cherry picked some of them. Hey, I'll take
I
care
do,
of that one, guys. Don't
I
worry.
do. We
Yeah.
have one coming up in Banff, and I'm like, I'm gonna go to that one. I want to go to Banff.
This one looks like it really needs some high level thinking. I'm gonna make sure I
Correct.
get down there. Yeah,
Well,
that's
the one
cool.
that was in Hawaii that we had year after year, I was like, I'm sorry, I'm always going on that one. I'm going every
Yeah,
year. That one was always
yeah.
fun.
I'll sacrifice, guys. Don't worry. Team
Yes,
player here.
exactly.
Yeah, nice. What about the question of what makes your business unique? So potentially other event type companies out there. Why do your customers or clients? Why do they choose you?
Um, a couple of things. I always go back to like the reason we have repeat customers is because of the relationships we have with them. And that does, I think, make us very unique in our industry. Um, I mean, obviously we're in hospitality because we like people. And
Mhm.
if
I
you're
hope
not,
so.
if you're
Yeah.
not, then you maybe need to choose a different profession. But I do think that that is one of the things that like we're friends with a lot of our customers. I talk to them on a regular basis on our phones, over text, over email, or whatever that is outside the realm of just business. And I think that makes us very unique. And um, it's something I enjoy, and it's something I always kind of pride myself on that when I see that a team member has taken the relationship with one of our customers to more of a friend basis, it makes it so much easier to have good, solid conversations with them if something is not going right, or if um, we could do something better or take it to the next level for them. I mean, I think that I feel like sets us apart. And it's something that we've heard feedback from, is that they really truly appreciate that it feels more like a friendship than it does like a business relationship. And so I think that
Mhm.
is one of the distinguishing factors with us. Um, the other thing that I didn't necessarily touch on, but I think that this does make us and the reason I started the business is I always wanted it to be high level. Like I would rather so much more would rather have quality over quantity.
Hmm.
And I think that really shows up. And I never apologize for pricing. Like if we're not a fit for you because we're not a fit now, it doesn't mean we won't be a fit later financially for you. But I'm not going to apologize because maybe I'm outside of the budget that you have set because there's a reason for it. Like we put so much time and effort into each of our customers and what we do, and just really spend a lot of detailed time on our agendas on making sure it's the right vendor, that we vetted the right vendor to be a good fit for the customer. And I think that makes a huge difference. Like we really make sure that it's flawless on site, and we've thought through every possible scenario that could potentially happen so that we can prevent anything that may go awry. And so
Hmm.
I think that really set us apart. And that's the thing that we hear back a lot from our hotel partners is that they know that when we're on site, it's going to go seamless. It's going to be very smooth, easy, or easy to work with. Um, and we always tell our partners too, like that we're working with, we're expecting that y'all are you're the one that has the knowledge with what you're doing here, and you're the expert in what you're doing, and I'm trusting that you're doing that and doing it to the same level of what I'm doing it at. And so, and
Hmm.
it shows. And so I feel like
Yeah.
that's what sets us apart in the industry.
Cool. Yeah. Of course, it's not about price, it's about value. So if people get the
Yes.
value, then they're all
Yeah.
about it. So it sounds like they
Yeah.
do, which is excellent. This leads me to marketing. So some of our businesses we work with and see around are, marketing can be a challenge for them. And
Mhm.
so curious for your business, what's been the number one marketing strategy that's brought you the most business over the
Okay.
years?
Number one, honestly, it has to do with our hotel partnerships and relationships. So I would say if you're going to summarize it as an entrepreneur, if you don't have good relationships and follow through with those existing relationships, both with on the vendor side of things, but as well as on the customer side, then you're going to be constantly just on this wheel of,
Mm.
you're never making progress in building your customer base. Um, so I do feel like that is a big part of it, is just making sure that you're staying in front of your partners so that they understand where you're at as a company, what you're doing. Maybe there's a new offering that you have or something like that. I feel like that's a huge part of what our sales team is tasked to do. But the other part of it is just truly like we spend and this is a more recent thing because we've been terrible at social media. Just I think it gets always put on the back burner. Of just really spending a lot of time on LinkedIn, of just seeing what are the trends that are happening, how are we making connections that we can further relationships, seeing if there's other connections there. And so I think that's a really valuable tool. And if you're not using it, I think you're kind of shorting yourself as a company.
Yeah. So the partners, the relationships you upkeep
Mhm.
and do well with. So does that create referrals from those partners or referrals from clients?
It's
I guess
actually,
I'm.
it works in a really good, nice way. Like if we're doing a good job and staying connected with our hotel partners, then they are going to give us business. Every time a customer comes to them, they're going to be like, hey, you need to reach out to Meritage. This is who we refer. This is who we think is the best fit for you. So it comes that way. But then also when we do a good job with our customers that we've then turned into these really great relationships, we'll ask them, is there anybody that I see in your LinkedIn network that, that you think that you could give me a referral or that you see how our services are? Would there be somebody that you would recommend us to be a good fit for? And that has worked out tremendously. And I will say one of the biggest things that I've seen most recent is that there's a group that we're um, doing their event this coming in 2026. And one of the things that we saw is that it's made up of a board. And so we saw who was all on this board, what all of their, like, what's the web of their relationships. And so part of our negotiations with them was that, we'll give you this rate with this caveat that we want to have relationships with all the people that you're connected with on these different organizations or these different boards. And it is paid off. It's a tremendous way to, like, if you try to think outside of just being so short-sighted of this is one event or this one customer. No, they're so well connected. And if you do a good job, I mean, why not ask for the business?
Absolutely. Man,
Yeah.
you're preaching it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, love that. So, yeah, and that's what I thought you were saying in terms of the partners. That sounds like that
Yeah.
generates business. They'll have clients come to them. Maybe they're interested in the venue, but hey, you should chat with Katie at Meritage because she can help you in
Yeah.
other ways. So, cool and good stuff. And what about as you look back on your journey, 20 years, and what's been the most memorable or maybe the hardest challenge, and how did you overcome that?
I think everybody's always going to say COVID. If you're in business during COVID, I mean, I
It
think that's
it
just a
it
standard answer,
it
but
it is a popular one for obvious
yeah, so
reasons, but
I'm not gonna say that one.
screw COVID.
Screw COVID. I think
Yeah,
if you made it through it, praise you, good
yeah,
job. Great.
yeah,
Um, I honestly think because I have children, that's probably been one of the hardest challenges is that balancing that. Um, I always wanted to have my children close by when they were younger. They're teenagers now, so it's a different factor now. But starting a business when your children are small is just really, it was hard. It was a hard balance to figure out. And I think that there's been gaps in the business because, my focus maybe got pulled at times to what was going on with my kids at the time versus, maybe it felt easy. I use easy roughly. Um, so it was easy to shift my attention to my children, and so then it creates a gap. And when you come back to your attention back to the business, you're like, oh crap, I got to play a game of catch up. So I feel like for me that's been a challenge, and most of the people on our team have children and we're very family focused, and so we try to be very understanding of it, but there's a really fine balance that I've learned that if you don't do it well, you can really screw up. And so to me, that's been a really hard challenge, as being just a mom and wanting to always be there for everything for my kids, but also then, you have responsibilities and people are dependent on you. So for me, that's been probably the biggest challenge.
yeah, yeah. It can be. I know, especially early in business.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things to do and figure out, and I mean,
Yeah.
and there always is. But if you've been in business for some period of time, okay, cool. Maybe at least some of those things have been ironed out, or they're steady
Yeah.
state, or whatever the scenario is. But early on, for sure, that's tough, and especially when your kids are young. I have a 1 and 3 year old at home, so luckily I didn't just get started in my business. I have been a little further in, but I mean, I could totally see, man, starting up with young kids.
Yeah.
That is
Mhm.
a challenge. So props to you.
Sure. Oh,
Props to
thanks.
you, Mom. Yeah, nice
Thanks.
job. So, um, what
I
about it? What was that?
I was just gonna say, if I thought about it even further, like the other challenge is that we're independent of investors. And so that's another hard challenge. And I don't want investors, but that plays into the factor of what I'm talking about with you got to balance it with kids, life, the financial responsibility. So that would be probably the other one. Like if you're financially independent of investors as a company, I think that's a big challenge. You got to figure out how to always balance payroll.
Yeah, so you're saying you don't have, maybe you have to figure out other financial solutions because you don't have,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Mhm.
and we know banks are not always the most interested in risk, right? So
Correct.
they're a
Yeah.
little less likely to want to probably lend to, of course, an early company, but
Yeah. Mhm.
even if you have some years behind you, they still want to look at and see the lack of risk. So it's always kind of funny. We talk to clients about that. It's like, hey, a lot of times we work with a lot of contractors, and I'll tell them, I'll ask them, hey, do you have a credit line? Most of them are like, no. And I'm like, all right, get one, right? Well,
Right.
Sean, but no, just get it. Well, I don't need it. That's exactly why you should get it, right?
Yep. Mhm.
Because when you need it, the banks are going to say you're too risky. We're not going to give it to you, right? So,
Right.
having that cushion or having these types of things available for sure helps, when you might need them. So, and if you
Yeah.
don't, fantastic.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
what about so team obviously is a factor in what you do, and I know we know you have some partners too, but from a team perspective, which again can be a challenge for businesses, what's maybe one of the bigger learnings you've had as an employer? What's one of the biggest learnings you've had as you've
Oh.
employed people over the years?
Oh my gosh. I
Just
hate
one.
I hate HR. I hate HR. That's gonna be
Yeah.
my no. Um, Honestly, I have found that if you hire based on what's on the paper, you're never going to end up probably getting the best candidate. Um, Especially in what we do. Like it's such a people focused industry and we all work from home and we're a close knit group. So if you don't have a good personality, like you don't click or something just doesn't fit right or feel right, you need to trust your gut. And there's been times where I'm like, oh, and I have not listened to my gut and I hired somebody that I'm like, but they fit everything on the paper. Like they
Yeah.
have everything what I need, and I always regretted it. And so, I think if you do a bad job of hiring, it can take your company in a really bad direction. It can change the culture of your company. Um, it can derail you financially. There's so many bad things that can happen if you don't do a good job hiring a good team. And there's still times when I'll maybe not be happy with a team member, but I always go back to, but then they have all these really great, amazing qualities that I can overlook what happened or what they chose to do because they have a good character and I like them as a person. And I think that goes so much further if you hire based on, you can teach a skill. You can't necessarily teach how to be a good person. So, you can, but
Yes.
I think a lot of that's just ingrained in some people. So,
For sure. And we probably have heard many times before, hire the character, train the skill, which you just mentioned, or you can train the skill.
yeah. Mhm.
And it can be tough because if you have a need or, new client or new opportunity comes up and, hey, we need these skills or, hey, we need to be able to supplement this work with a new person or whatever, depending on the need or the how quick you might need that. I mean, hey, look, like you said, they've got this, they have the experience, they have this knowledge, so let's hire them in. But like you said, if the character isn't there or it just doesn't fit, even if it's not say a bad character, but it doesn't fit
Yep.
with who you guys are, then yeah, all kinds of other issues start to develop. It's like, oh, cool, we got the skill, but now it still sucks, right? So
Exactly.
yeah, important stuff, and I'm sure almost all of us have fallen into that at least once, if not
For
twice,
sure.
or
Yeah.
multiple times. So
Sometimes it's just easy, like to do a quick hire because you're like, I have this need, I just got to get it done, and you're short-sighted, and then you realize I could have, I could have figured it out and not hired
yeah,
that
yeah,
individual. Yeah,
yep. And you
yeah,
take the chance because hey, it might work out, but many
yes,
times it doesn't.
yes,
Yeah, yep.
yeah.
So well, what about 20 plus years of the business and lots happened since then, of course, since day one. What would you do differently if you shut everything down and restarted, fresh today or next month or whatever? What would you do different?
A couple things. I would have taken bigger risk. Um, and I would have thought bigger in respects of how to grow quicker, how to grow faster. Um, I probably would have taken on some financial investors to be able to achieve that. Um, those are the biggest ones. Oh, the other one I always kind of go back to is it's real easy to be comfortable with just what you know now, like of even just thinking back to 20 years ago. Um, I know this skill set and just relying and using that skill set versus thinking outside of that skill set to see like, is there a resource or is there an individual that could step in to help me accelerate this to get where I want and it not be a 2 year plan or a 4 year plan and can help me get it to where I want it in 6 months. And then I can move to phase two and be successful at what I really know I'm good at versus taking all this time to like get through the mud to get to
Mm,
that point. I think when you first start, you're just scared and you're still trying, there's so much you're trying to figure out, like just
mhm.
trying to work through it all. Um, if you give yourself some time, if I were to redo it and gave myself some time and maybe came up with an idea of how I can let go and let others do things and be okay with the risk that it may not turn out exactly the way I would have wanted it, but it still got me to the same result. Um, I think I would be in a different place with my company now than I than I am. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. We have a formula for success. It is dreams times goals times learn times plan times act. And so the thing we usually have to emphasize for folks that they're not always thinking about is you dream first, then you set some goals. Well, you'll notice the learn comes after goals, right? So,
Mhm.
and I think a lot of times people like you're saying, hey, well, I don't know how to do that. So how can I set that goal that's unrealistic or I can't achieve that? But who cares, right? Like set the goal. Maybe it's a bigger goal than you think you can do, but guess what? You can still learn
Yeah.
how to get there. You don't have to know what it is, how to get there today, right? In fact, hopefully you don't, because if it was a goal you already knew how to get there, then presumably you'd already be there, right? So
Yep.
so yeah, it's just it's a little counterintuitive. I agree with you, but it can help you get sometimes a lot farther because you're just thinking you're not constrained, right,
Exactly.
by the box so that we put
Yep.
ourselves in. So yeah, big fan of what you're talking about. What about what's the next goal or milestone for you, Katie? Obviously, gotten various pretty good success here over 20 plus years. What's next?
So I set a really large sales goal for my team. It's a bodacious, big, like out of this world goal for them. And they're doing really good working towards it. And so I want to work from 2 million to 10 million in the next 24 months. That's my goal as a company. Um, and I believe it's doable. And I've come up with, I love Chat GPT. It is the best like tool you could use. It really helped me come up with making sure my goal was realistic. And if it is, then how to set that goal for your team so that they feel successful. Um, and so we talk about it regularly when we have our weekly meetings. And so that's really where I'm headed. I'm headed in the growth factor at this point of just, um, if that means more people, great. And I'm okay with adding more people to my team. I don't know if it's necessary to add more people to reach the goal, but, sports hospitality is one of our areas that we're really working hard in to try to grow and do more in. And I believe that we're really good at what we do in sports hospitality, but I want to grow it to next level.
Yeah.
Uh, and so that's one of the areas. Hotel sourcing, again, is something we're good at, but I want to like amplify that even more so. Um, and then incentive trips, that's another area that we do really good at, and we have plenty of customers that use us for it. But I just want it to be more nationally known of who we are, what we do. Our name is recognized in all the markets, all the major markets of saying, yes, they're a quality brand. And I always say, I identify my company like along the same lines as the Ritz and the Four Seasons. And those, I think that's why that we're good partners with them. Um, and I want my brand to be recognized like that in all the major markets nationally. And so that's where we're headed. That's the growth plan is
I
to,
like it.
yeah.
That's where we're headed. That's where we're going, Sean.
Yeah, we're going
That's
there.
right.
We're going
I
to be
like it.
there 24
Love
months
the
with us.
love the conviction. So,
Yeah, we're doing it.
awesome. Well, one last question before we get into our last question. If people are interested, they want to learn more about you or the company, how do they get in contact?
Probably the easiest way is to reach out to you can reach out to me. You can always reach out to me. I'm happy to like be the go between myself and our sales team. But Nicole Bain is on my team and she's our sales director. And I would love for them to reach out to her. Her name's Nicole Bain and it's Nicole, Nicole, period, Bain, Bane at meritageevents.com. So yeah,
All right.
she'd be happy to help you and just to work with you and help you figure out what your strategy is for your company.
Cool. Sounds good. And any special offers you'd like to offer any listeners?
Yeah, if you want to reach out to me, I would love to give you a 30-minute session of just talking through if you have even just an idea of what you are thinking, or you don't even have a plan and you just want to like, is this something that I could do for my company? Or I've thought about this. I would love to just have a 30-minute session with you, give you an idea of like how we can help you step in with anything you have going on and see how we could be a fit for you.
Nice. Yeah,
Yeah,
idea generation, some good thoughts and ideas. Who knows? Could be worth thousands of dollars. So
correct. Yes.
pretty valuable offering. Good
Yeah.
stuff. Thank you, Katie. So Awesome. Well, thank you very much for, of course, coming on, spending some time with us, investing some time with us, and
Yeah.
giving us some good information about not just the company, but some tidbits that hopefully will help some of these listeners we've got. And so we're happy to have you. We were happy to have you today, and thank you to the audience for hopefully continuing to watch and get some good nuggets from Katie. And so with that, we will say goodbye and take advantage of Katie's offering if you can or are interested. And outside of that, we'll wish you a good rest of the week.
Thanks.